Four of the biggest names in the sports industry are spearheading a campaign to protect female athletes from men competing in their sports. It's crazy that we still have to talk about this, but we do. And it's not surprising that this story is getting zero media attention. Here to discuss is BlazeTV host Jason Whitlock. And Jason, you've compared four of these women to civil rights icons. So we're going to talk cis rights because somebody has to, Jason. So who made the list of your cis rights heroes?
Well, I think Riley Gaines, the former University of Kentucky swimmer, the superstar, conservative, outspoken Christian woman, she's got to be the Rosa Parks of this. And I think, what I'm connecting it to is the boycott that's going on with the San Jose State women's volleyball team, which has a man as its best player. And so there's been a series of four universities that have refused to play against this San Jose State team. And I believe Riley Gaines, being the outspoken leader, has kind of sparked this boycott. I think the advent and the popularity of Caitlin Clark, she hasn't taken a strong position, but to see a woman this dominant in the sports arena and become the biggest star in American sports, I think has inspired women and maybe helped young women realize the importance of protecting their own space, because you don't need men invading that space when you can create giants like a Caitlin Clark. And then I credit Sage Steele and Samantha Ponder, two women that had big careers at ESPN, stood out there and basically said, hey, I think it's important to protect women in these sports deals, ended up losing their jobs at ESPN. So I compare Riley Gaines to Rosa Parks. I compare Sage Steele and Samantha Ponder to John Carlos and Tommy Smith, the guys that raised their fists in the Olympics. And I compare Caitlin Clark to Jackie Robinson. She's breaking a gender barrier, because I don't think we've ever seen, I think it's the first time in American history where a woman has been the biggest star in sports. And so I compare her to Jackie Robinson, the abuse she's taken, the hostility she's taken, not death threats like what Jackie Robinson went through, but she's faced a lot of resistance and performed at a super high level and has brought an energy to women's basketball like we've never seen before.
So, Jason, this has been going on for a while, right? I mean, it's not like it's new. It's new, but it's not really new. It's the last 5 years or so people have been paying attention to what's going on in sports. And every time I hear anyone bring it up, they say, you know what? That's crazy. That is so crazy. I can't believe this is happening. But it keeps on happening. So do you think, is there a reason why you chose now to sort of coin this term and say, look, this is the cis rights movement and there are heroes in this movement? Is there something changing now? Is something galvanizing? Help me out.
Yeah, I think that these mature women have sparked younger women to take matters into their own hands. And again, this boycott that's going on with the San Jose volleyball team, I think it's a critical moment. This is 18, 19, 20-year-old women saying, enough is enough. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to sit in the back of the lunch counter. We're not going to sit in the back of the bus. We want to protect our spaces so that we can create more giants like Caitlin Clark and not be invaded by a bunch of female imposters. And so I just think, it takes, things don't happen overnight. And so Riley Gaines and other people have been beating this drum ever since the William Thomas did invade collegiate swimming, ended up getting an NCAA medal, was a dominant swimmer in the Ivy League, and Riley Gaines started speaking out. And it just takes time to keep beating that drum and get people to understand, like, hey, this is crazy. And if I don't stand up here, if I don't draw a line in the sand, no one else is. And so I just think we're with this thing, with this volleyball, it's such an obvious moment. And what's really frustrating to me is I've seen ESPN and Fox Sports and the major sports broadcasters cover a controversy in volleyball. There was a woman that played for Duke whose aunt said over Twitter, hey, my niece was called a racial slur at a BYU game. ESPN blew it up into this big thing. Next thing you know, Don Staley, a basketball coach in college basketball, is saying, I'm not going to let my team play at BYU. I don't understand how that can be major news that someone's aunt says on Twitter that, hey, my niece was called a name, and that's worthy of coverage. Now you have actual women refusing to compete. Division I volleyball refusing to compete school after school. It's been Utah State. It's been, I believe, Wyoming. It's been Southern Utah University and Boise State. Have all, hey, we're not playing. That's a major story. But just like in the civil rights movement, people wanted to ignore the early momentum. And it's up to us, in those of us that believe in gender and gender roles and the Bible and what God has to say about gender, we have to fan the flames on this and let people know, like, hey, there's a movement here. And just like we had a civil rights movement, now we have a cis rights where women, XX chromosomes, are saying, hey, look, we want sports for XX chromosomes. This is important. We don't want men invading our spaces. I just think it's a critical moment, and I think it's intentional that the mainstream media won't cover this, because this issue, to me, crystallizes everything that this election cycle is about. Are we going to go further and further and further off into insanity, where men are women and women are men, and we have Supreme Court justices who can't define what a woman is? Or are we going to return to common sense? This is so simple, so easy for regular people to understand. Like, are we really going to get this crazy? And if we can define the other side as supporting this level of insanity, which they are, I think it's easier for people to make decisions about which direction they actually want to go.
Yeah, you wrote in your column that you believe that this movement could save America. Is this what you mean by this, what you're hitting on right now?
Absolutely. I think it's the issue that suburban women can understand, inner city women can understand, men can understand. This is crazy. Every girl at some point was a fifth grader that was playing dodgeball with the boys and figured out, like, oh boy, these boys throw the ball a lot harder than I do. Maybe they need their own thing and I need my own thing. It's very simple. Everybody's gone through this process where they figure out, like, yeah, maybe I did mature a little faster than guys in first and second grade. But man, by the time we got to sixth grade, there was a difference. And even little scrawny so-and-so can throw this dodgeball a lot harder than me. He's better than me at volleyball. It's just a common sense issue that I think takes the scales off people's eyes, and you can see what the other side represents. Total chaos and insanity, no defined roles, no rules about anything. Hey, it's just whatever you feel. And so if some San Jose State boy feels like, hey, I'm a girl today, I want to go play volleyball with the girls, he can do that, dominate because he's their best player. And I want to support the women, Riley, Sage, Sam, Caitlin Clark, and just the girls on the volleyball teams that are boycotting, and say, hey, you're doing the right thing. We want to draw attention to it, and hopefully this will catch on. And, we got about 30 days left before the election. We'll see how many more of these volleyball matches get boycotted. And scales just come off people's eyes to see, like, hey, man, there's an insanity and a wickedness to this other side. This isn't just a difference in policies. This is a battle of good versus evil, chaos versus normalcy.